Hey everybody, welcome back to that's right, the No Cover TV podcast. Look who's in the house with me. That's right, Brett Gray. We're gonna get with Brett in just a minute. But I have to open up the show and thank each and one of you out there checking out the No Cover TV podcast. You've been checking out the past shows. We've done a lot of all genres and age groups. It's amazing the kids that come on, how great they are, and definitely all the artists that have come on. Check out the past shows, check out the future shows, a lot of great things, artists from around the world coming on. And don't miss today's show. Oh, yes, indeed. You know what I'm going to say next, people? What's my 3 favorite words? What? I didn't hear you. Yes, that's right. Support, support, support. Support these artists. Go to the show, pay a cover charge if there is one. Get to the swag table, get that album, CD, hoodie, t-shirt, coffee chain, bumper sticker, coffee mug. Oh my, it goes on. Get to the stage, enjoy that show. And if you can, stay afterwards, meet the artist. And if you really can, get an autograph because you never know where the artists are going. Remember, the artists love doing what they do to put a smile on your face. In return, puts a smile on their face, which is a great thing. Music is a great thing. It goes all the way around. Got a great show for you today in the house. And what we're going to do today, we're puddle jumping. We're going all the way around the world here. We're going to Australia. Brett Gray is in the house. My friend, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks, Big Al. Yourself?
I'm doing great. Enjoying my coffee. A little early morning for me here to do an interview, and a little late in the evening for you.
It is. It's 10:30 at night in Adelaide, Australia, which your listeners and your viewers might not know where that is, but it's basically in southern central Australia on the coast, as most of the main cities are. It's not Melbourne. It's not Sydney. It's not Brisbane. It's Adelaide.
Okay. It's Adelaide. That's right.
That's right. But it's 10:30 at night here on Sunday, and it's 9 o'clock in the morning, I think, for you, if I'm not mistaken.
9 o'clock in the morning.
On the same day. Crazy.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we were able to make this connection and make this happen today, my friend.
Absolutely. And as we were just mentioning it, with technology today, I could be in the room next year, it looks like, doesn't it? But we're half the world away.
Right, exactly. It's really great how technology is nowadays. And now I see you're keeping pretty busy with your music.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, like probably a lot of the independent original artists, you also do cover shows and cover bands and solo gigs and things of that nature. So, the most important thing is really getting the original stuff out there. But you've got to do those other gigs and, make a few dollars and make connections and networking, because that's what actually often gets you in the door to expand on the original concept,
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Things like, for example, support slots with bigger artists. You meet people that know people, might be a promoter or another artist that knows the guy that knows the guy. And next thing you know, you're actually got a chance to do something you would otherwise not have had you not been out playing those bars or pubs, as we say, and whatnot.
Yeah, you never know who's out in that audience. Whether you're playing to one person or 500, there could be somebody out there that really is there to see you.
No, that's right. And it's interesting too. Is years ago, you probably felt a little bit. Not embarrassed is probably the wrong word, but to say to somebody, hey, can you follow my socials? Can you listen to my album on YouTube? Can you do? But now you that's what you do. You have to do it. I have these little flyers that I actually hand out, little flyers, and it's got a QR code on there. It's got all the socials. It's got all the streaming sites and such. And it's basically, hey, look, you can do something for me. It costs you zero, costs you nothing. But it's super handy, helpful to me. And if you liked what you heard, please just do me a favor, QR code it and like and share and listen. And you never know, you might just like it too.
Right, you just might like it. And I definitely like it. I love your music, man. Great stuff you're doing. Now you do acoustic rock and some alternative country. I mean, you got a great mix going on.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind. It's interesting. I've always loved acoustic music, and when the unplugged stuff came out, this is probably some of your listeners might not know this, and might not be old enough, but back in the day when they did all the MTV Unplugged and whatnot, that's right up my alley. And what's happened is we'll probably get into this, but I've lived in the US a few times. And I never liked country music growing up. But in fact, when I was there, I don't even think I liked it. But when I came home the first time before going back again, it just grows on you. You know, it just you need it, and it gets more and more passionate, and that's sort of grown into my music. So when people listen to my stuff, I'm a little bit surprised actually that they immediately think it's got a country influence, which I don't immediately hear compared to,
right.
Some really serious country stuff, which is
Right.
heavier, more country like.
Right.
But that seems to be the thing that people hear. So, and I'm okay with that because that's what I like. So it's all good.
Well, good. As long as they hear it. That's right. Well, before we jump any farther, Brett, I don't know if you know this, but I need to get in your head a little bit. Can I do that?
Absolutely, sure.
All right. Well, let's take Brett on a journey. Let's take Brett to the past. Let's go when you were a little kid. Now, between 8 and 10, 8 and 12, we're listening to pretty much what our parents might be listening to, our siblings might be listening to, and we're starting to grow our own ears for music. What were you listening to at that age, Brett?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, my dad, who's passed away about 20 years ago, but he loved things like Neil Diamond, Hot August Night, which I still think is one of the greatest albums ever made.
Yeah.
He loved Roy Orbison and those kinds of things. And I can't really think what my mother listened to. She liked things like ABBA and I don't know if you know this band, the Bay City Rollers, which I think is an English band. Yeah, so that's probably 70s sort of stuff.
70s,
yeah. Once the 80s came about, funny, my brother, who's actually my drummer, or our drummer, on both my albums and in one of the cover bands I'm in, and he loved Duran Duran.
Really?
And at the time in Australia, there was Duran Duran and Wham with George Michael. Don't ask me why, but they were the two big bands, and even though they were both English, and I liked George Michael and Wham. I loved the vocals, and he loved Duran Duran, which is
right.
I don't know why I'm telling you, but it wasn't when I was I think it was 12 years old, I want to say, and the reason why I say that is because I think my 13th birthday I got my first ever LP. Was my cousin, I went to my nana's house and my cousin played me a tape of Bryan Adams' Reckless.
Okay.
And that was just, something happened and I just went, oh my God, what is that? I want to do that. It just caught, and like nothing else has grabbed me. And so I think that was when I was 12 years old. And giving away my age a little bit here. I mean, I wouldn't believe I'm 25, would you? I'm really 25. And yeah, so I said I wanted to do that. And the reason I mentioned about the 13th birthday is I believe on my 13th birthday, I got my first ever album, which was Cuts Like a Knife, the LP. So because I wanted to go and get his back catalogue.
Right.
And then just growing up through there in Australia at the time, we've got some bands which you guys in the States probably wouldn't know, but they're classic Australian bands. You've got people like Journey and whatnot with the classic bands and Eagles and things like that, which we know here, of course. We have bands like Cold Chisel, that people would know here, one of the greatest of all time bands.
Wow.
And, the fabric of Australian music sort of thing, beach culture and whatever.
Right.
And you just grow up getting those things embedded into your brain, you know what I mean? But also, Olivia Newton-John was huge, Kenny Rogers, and some of those country some of those country acts that people would say they don't like country music, but they were listening to it, not realizing it, maybe. I don't know,
Yeah. Well, good. So now, okay, we get to be a teenager. Well, what age did you learn to pick up the guitar?
So probably from that time, when I heard that Bryan Adams Reckless, I thought, man, I want to learn how to sing. I want to play a guitar. I was probably about 15 or 16, and ironically, I met a guy at school. Believe it or not, my sport growing up is actually American football, which is ridiculous, right? Especially at those times. And a guy came to school, and his father, he's Aussie, but he spoke and looked American, sounded American. His father was placed in Washington, D.C. He was with the Australian government. They were stationed in Washington,
Oh,
D.C. in some capacity. And he actually went to school with Joe Theismann's daughter or something. You know what I mean? Like my friend. And he had a Miami Dolphins helmet on his bag. And I was like,
okay.
I've never seen anybody do that. I'm like, oh my God, who are you? And we befriended each other, and we're best friends. And both he and his brother loved 80s hair music, you know, like and Poison
Oh,
and
yeah.
all those kind of guys. And they played guitar. And I said, and I'd go to his house, and they had these guitars there. I'm like, oh my God, can you show me how to use a guitar? And so that was about 16, I want to say.
Okay.
And then somewhere along the line in the next year or something like that, I ended up convincing my parents to buy me a guitar, and I just taught myself as best I could. You know, you didn't have the internet then, you didn't have YouTube and that,
No,
and you started and you just practiced in your bedroom and tried to get better. You know.
you do. So you got your guitar at 16, and when you got the guitar, I know when I got my first guitar at 12, you know how excited I was, and in my mind, right then and there, I was a rock star. Now, did that hit you kind of?
Oh no, I think actually it's funny. A girl I was going out with at the time, my sort of first love, if you will, in high school, beautiful, lovely girl. My friend lent me his electric guitar. This same guy I'm talking about, his name's Kieran, a lovely bloke, and he lent me his electric guitar. And I don't know if you can do it these days, but you used to be able to actually plug a 1/4-inch jack into the electric guitar and put a set of headphones on, and you could hear it.
Yep.
Which was kind of nuts. I don't know anybody that does that. And it didn't sound, you know, like a crazy big distorted electric guitar, but
No.
it just had a cool sound to it. And he taught me how to do just playing a D chord. And if you're familiar with the song "With or Without You" by U2, and it does that thing where it goes, you know, dan 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 dan. I could show you actually in 2 seconds, but anyways, we won't get there. And there's a little thing where you can sort of take that finger off, put that finger on, take that finger off, put that finger on. And it's super easy, but I got my girlfriend at the time to put the headphones on. I said, listen to this. And I just went, and whatever. And she was like, oh my God, when did you learn how to play guitar? But, you know, and that was a classic example of people that don't play instruments. They don't know. But somebody who knew guitar would go, that guy can't play guitar. You know, I was faking it, basically, you know.
Right. Yeah. So, well, I don't think you faked it too long. How long was it till you kind of got it under your belt? I mean, we're always learning guitar players. We're always learning.
Yeah, a couple of years, I think. But my father was also not that we ever saw him do this, but my father, I believe, was in the drum cadets in the Navy cadets as a drummer, a snare drummer.
Whoa.
And there was always a set of drumsticks at our house that my brother and I would see. But we never saw him use them. But obviously they were from that time. And my brother and I learnt to play drums, basically sitting facing an armchair. So you've got like the arms of the chair, and that's your hi-hats and the cymbal on this side.
There you go.
And so we learnt percussion, and we sort of had it inherently, you know, we were very good with timing and percussion. And so and my brother is now, he's a great drummer. And I play drums too, but I'm nowhere near as good as him. But we can, you know, I could get away with it if I had to. I had to play. I've played a show here. I've played a couple of shows, and I get away with it, you know. But it really helped me with guitar, because guitar can be very percussive in the timing, the way you play.
Timing.
You know, it's not just jing, 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 jing. You've got to feel it, and you know, get that groove going and that the feel to it. So there was sort of that going on, and that certainly really helped me. But what I didn't do and should have done was get lessons. And, you know, that would have made me speed up so much faster. But again, if we had YouTube back in the day, you know, that's
that would have helped a little bit. That's funny how you mentioned how you play drums on the chair, and this was the hi-hat and stuff. I kind of did the same. I lived with my grandmother, and she collected coffee cans. So I went down and I would stack all the different sizes. I'd cut the tops out, hang them from the ceiling with string, and those would be the cymbals. And then I'd have the different size cans as drums. So ding, 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 ching.
Yeah. No, that's hilarious. And, you know, it's funny because the first I bought my brother his first drum kit, but when I started
nice.
I'd written some songs, and I needed somebody to jam with me, but nobody had ever heard anything before. And I bought him in fact, the brother of the guy that I was talking about before from America, lived in America. It was his drum kit, and he was just selling it for cheap. So I bought it and gave it to my brother, and we started jamming that way. But now, like, if you could see just over to my right hand side, there's a Roland TD50 KVXS electric drum kit. Like, you know, a couple of years ago, it was the best of the best you could get in the world, you know. Amazing what those things can do now. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Going from hitting cans and, you know, bowls and plates to now you've got this insanely good piece of equipment, you know.
Right, exactly. So, okay, well, we get through school, and then life hits us at 18. We got to work or go to college, or we get married and have kids. When did you, I mean, you probably did all that great stuff, but did music stay with you, or did you have to put it on this hold for a little while?
I always wanted to be musical, you know. I don't know, a rock star or whatever. I mean, maybe I was in my daydreams, you'd think of those things. But,
right.
But at the time, my first love was actually American football. And at 17, I wanted to go to the US and play American football in a high school level. So, and this is where things take a slightly different direction. Okay. But
right.
So I was playing by that stage. Actually, I could play guitar. I was pretty good. It wasn't great, but I was pretty comfortable with it, you know. And I was shocked when my parents said I could apply as an exchange student, and because I thought they were going to just say no way. And I graduated high school in Australia at 16, which is a little bit young. I think it had to do with I went to school. It started when I was younger, you know. Okay. Not that I'm super intelligent and that I just passed every year. Wasn't that? But so what it meant is that the following year, and the Australian school year is basically January to December, whereas the American one is halfway through July or whatever, right, through to June, whatever. So I graduated, then I didn't get to go to the States for about another 6 months. So I went back to high school and did some courses that I wanted to be a journalist initially. So I was doing things of that nature. Okay. But you know what? I never did music. I never studied music other than in 8th grade in Australia. I don't know now, but back in the day, you had to do it, you know, for 6 months or something. Yeah. But that was boring music, you know, written music.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah.
Rocking out, you know? And so I went to the US and to Colorado, a little bitty town up near Boulder. It's called Lyons, Colorado. And I went to school there for a year and got to play American football, which was a dream fulfilled. And it wasn't until then I came back after a year, and that's probably around the time when I bought that drum kit for my brother. Okay. And started actually playing some songs, you know what I mean? And he started realizing, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. And a few years later, we ended up starting a band, which we called 11 Days, which actually has to do with the title of my debut album, 11 Days and Then Some. And but interestingly, some of the songs come from my experiences both in Australia and in America. Okay. Is that some of the stories behind the songs, they're not legitimate like literal stories, but I've taken parts of my time in the US and whatnot and made those songs around it. And sometimes I write from the third person, so it might be something that sort of happened to me, kind of, but then I embellished it and made it as if I'm singing about somebody else, you know, and the story takes a different turn, you know.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. So okay, well, let's jump up to the 11 Days band. Okay, when did we start that?
Well, actually, now that I think about it, I think it was 1996. I think is when that very first started. Okay. But it probably wasn't until the next year we got so I had myself on rhythm guitar and vocals, and my brother on drums. We ended up getting a lead guitarist and a bass player at the time. And nice. we rehearsed and then started playing gigs, you know, at pubs, parties, and things of that nature. And at the time, we actually did my originals plus covers. But we did that for 2 or 3 years. But we worked out pretty quickly you couldn't really play originals. You know, people wanted you as a party band. They're not interested, you know, unfortunately. 20 years prior would have been okay, but at the time,
True.
yeah. So that band actually has on and off been running ever since then. And in fact, I just literally played a gig last night with the band. Now we've got 2 new guys, or three. We've got 3 guys who were not in that original quartet.
Okay.
And but they're still with the band to this day. And between me going overseas and working or traveling or living or whatever, I've always come back and we've started up again. And yeah, they're now just a cover band, but really good band, like very solid, you know. And one of those bands where you can party and dance and have great times, but then say we're doing Hotel California, you'd stop and just sit down, listen, and watch this.
Right,
you know,
right.
They're very good musicians, so that's pretty.
That is great that you were able to keep that going. Now, wasn't it just recently you decided to go off on your own, do some acoustic stuff, solo stuff?
Yeah, well, funnily enough, the 11 Days band actually, with the original 4, actually recorded an album back in 1998, I think it was, and released it, not as you do today, but basically got it printed on a CD, etc. And flash forward to now, the next 20 years or whatever, you've got to get a job, you have a career, you travel, you live, you whatever, but you keep your dream up, and and you get the cover band going and all that kind of business. And back in COVID times, so not 2021, I think it was, I got made redundant from my role and my job, which turned out fine. Anyways, I moved into something else straight away. And I thought, I'm not getting any older, and who knows, the earth could explode tomorrow. I've got to do this now. So I asked the guys, hey, would you play on this album? And the 2 options are either I'll fund it and run it entirely myself, but I need you to play on it. It'll cost you nothing, whatever, and we'll call it Brett Gray, or we can all be involved and chip in and stuff, and we'll call it 11 Days. And they said, no, it's your music. We'll help you. You do it as yourself. And so that's what's happened. And now I'm sort of, it's almost 4 years down the track, and I'm just doing the demos for the next album now. I'm just starting.
Are you really?
Yeah, I should have done something sooner. I know it's in this day and age, you got to release a single every 5 minutes. But
you keep up with everybody.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, I see behind you some information there about where we can find your music and stuff. Can you tell everybody in podcast land where we can find you?
Yeah. I thought I'd use that because I bought it and I may as well use it. And that was when obviously when the album came out. But Brett Gray Music, and it's Gray, not EY. It's interesting. There is another guy. It's kind of funny. There is a guy in America, an African American guy. He's a hip hop artist, and would you believe his name's Brett Gray, and it's spelt the same way. And I couldn't believe it because I'd never Googled myself to find out. I never bothered. And it wasn't until we sort of put the album onto streaming and whatnot that we found out that he existed. And it turns out he's actually a relatively popular guy. I think he's on television and everything. So, and it still occasionally is an issue where people go looking for him and there's my face, or vice versa. But it's much better for me because he's much bigger following than I've got. So hopefully I'm getting off that. But anyways, Brett Gray Music, that's how we dealt with that, is to say, well, he's Brett Gray, I'm Brett Gray Music. So if you're looking, Spotify, YouTube channel, etc., he'll probably come up first. But obviously, he and I are 2 completely, and you'll see it straight away. We're not. It's not like Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right.
We are 2 different people. Yeah, and it's on all the social channels, streaming services, etc. Yeah.
Okay, great. It sounds like you might have somebody to possibly collaborate with, another Brett Gray.
Who knows? Who know? I'll play the acoustic and he can rap or whatever he does. Okay?
That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Now, is it the one album out, the 11 Days and Then Some, or that just came out?
That's right. It's just the one album now.
Okay.
The 11 Days album, of which has a couple of tunes actually that I released. Again, I re-recorded them 20 years later, whatever. But that was never put online or anything like that. But there's still about 10 copies in existence that haven't been bought or sold or handed to someone. So hopefully one day they'll be worth about $1.25.
Right on, right on. Oh, so, I asked you something if you could do this, and I wonder if we could do this now. Ladies and gentlemen, I might be able to get Brett to play a song for us. So you think we could do that, Brett?
Oh, yeah, I'll try. I hope I'll
try. Hey, I love it.
There's a guitar right here.
There's the guitar right there. It's handy. I love it. So we're going to get a song out of Brett here, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know how loud it will be with the computer and stuff. It might not be set up correctly, but I'm literally just sitting in my front room. But I'll try something.
Should sound great. Should sound good. Yep.
Keep me wanting more and keep me coming on. Go ahead and sit back down, just write another song. She can play the vixen, oh Lord, no she can. But you're on the lining up, she spits at another man. She's so lonely, and that's alright. She's so lonely, all through the night. I sit back watching, see it through. She's so lonely, there's nothing I can do. Babe's getting lonely, babe's getting lonely, babe's getting lonely, yeah. Oh, there's nothing I can do.
Hey, wait. Love it, man. Love it.
Shortened version.
Shortened version. Oh, that's great, brother. Appreciate that. When you play the acoustic, do you pick a lot or do you use the pick?
A bit of both. If I'm playing, I like finger style music, and I'm sitting in a chair that has arms here. That's why the guitar's sitting a bit awkwardly. But I'm literally it's like I'm lying in a bed or something. It's a bit. But, one of my songs, for example, called "Fly Away," is a ballad. It's a finger style. So
There we go. Oh yeah. Just have him continue to play the rest of the show, okay, people?
That kind of thing, So
right on.
Yeah, some of it's big strumming, some of it's sort of nice open sort of suspended chords,
Right on.
chords. Some of it's and then there's it's a mixed bag when I play.
Sweet, my friend. Great, good deal. Okay. Now, I see you got quite a few fans that are loving what you're doing. What do you think of that?
Well, it's nuts. It's funny. The word fans, I appreciate. I use the term supporters because it feels a little bit silly. I don't know, a bit embarrassing to say fans because it makes me feel like I'm being arrogant. You know what I mean? I know that sounds silly, but I love the fact that people want to support, and if they are true fans, I'm incredibly flattered. It's a wonderful thing, and that people show interest and give their time, and as I say, I play a lot of gigs where I could be playing a solo gig in a bar somewhere, and I'm playing as Brett Gray, but I'm playing cover songs and I throw in some originals, and people will come up and say, "Hey, man, I really like your voice, or I like your guitar, or I like the way you play," and you just go, well, thanks very much. You don't know how nice that is that you to make that effort, because you didn't have to come up and say that. I truly appreciate it. And some people will say things like, "Oh man, I wish I could do that," and and you sort of think, you say to yourself, or you say to them, "Look, I get that, but I'm sure there's plenty of things that you can do that I can't do, and that I wish I could do." So you never get ahead of yourself. You're not better than anyone or anything like that. It's just I chose to do this and they chose to do that, and we probably mutually respect each other for the abilities that neither of us have. You know what I mean? So
Right, I do. Now,
yeah,
now you're doing quite a few festivals. You're getting out and about, right?
yeah, trying to. I festivals are. I think that's where music's going, without sounding what we would say up myself, which again arrogant. Um,
Right.
I'm at that point in my life where I'm not a musician that I'm not going to die of starvation, if I don't play or whatever. So money's not the objective here for me at this point in my life and what I'm trying to achieve. It's about the experience of getting to do things and the recognition of what you've tried to work towards. And I think, in my opinion, and I don't know if it's the same in the States, but it certainly is in Australia. There's no money in music, as in, unless people don't. This is a CD. People use it as a coaster. Or, there's some people that still want to buy those things, and we appreciate it. And vinyl is around still, and it's having a resurgence. But the idea behind what artists are doing now is it's festivals and merchandise, or ticket sales and merchandise, not actually the music. The music's almost secondary in a sense from a revenue stream. So,
True.
and the way I see it is, yeah, I want to get on to festivals, because then you can get in front of people that might not otherwise see you, and be involved with other artists and you're not playing for 2 hours. Nobody's going to sit there and listen to a guy they've never heard of for 2 hours. But if you get up there for 30 minutes and you just smash it out, and they go, wow, I really like that guy.
That makes sense.
I think the way forward. And we were talking about it before, I think, where you've got to have some talent. You've obviously got to be able to do the job. There's no doubt. But the most talented people aren't necessarily the most famous, the most prolific touring artists, obviously, as you know.
No.
But it's about networking and knowing the right people and having their trust. And once you've got that, I know the guy that can do that job. I know he'll turn up, he'll do it right. He'll be gracious, he'll be appreciative, and we can get him a next time. And so I'm starting to make a few little connections like that, where support slots for bigger artists. And in fact, in the last 12 months, I've been on a couple of festivals that had some, again, people that in the US you might not know, but in Australia, household names, which is, and all not because I'm the best at it, it's because I knew somebody that believed in what I'm doing, knew how to get me in the door, and gave me a chance. And then that's starting to percolate now, and and get bigger and bigger, and other things are coming from it, which is just incredible. And I'm incredibly thankful of those people giving me that opportunity.
Very beautiful. And that's what it's about right there, helping each other, collaborating, and working together. Definitely.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Definitely. Now, I see you joined these people right here.
Yeah, just not long ago.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. And you're going to jump in the pot for next year's running, I hope.
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, there's a lady who runs her name's Christine Clifford. She's I don't know, I've not met her, but I've only met her via Facebook and whatnot.
She's a great lady.
She's the apparently the
representative
of Australian ISSA, and she just won an award in Atlanta just the other week. So wow, I'm thinking, oh my God, I better get involved with that, eh?
She was just on the show this past week. Yes.
Oh wow. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I've never met her or heard of her until recently, and now we're talking about the same person halfway around the world.
Beautiful lady, and like I said, collab. We all work together. Yes, indeed. Yeah. So I'm sure you'll be talking to her soon, my friend. Definitely.
I think she's actually planning something in Adelaide. She lives actually about 2 hours from Adelaide, in a country area, and I think she's planning something next year. And I've already said, please, let me be involved. I'm happy to help any way I can.
That would be great. I'd love to see you two get together and collaborate and stuff. I saw on your site, was it FOOM? FOOM.
Oh yeah, it's there's a body here called Scala, which is the Songwriters, Composers, and Lyricists Association. I think it stands for. Okay. It's just a local body, and they have they have a thing called the Festival of Original Music, but it's actually, I think it's twice a year. Essentially, bring your unreleased original music and play it, and it's a competition kind of thing. But it's not it's just a localized thing that they probably do all around the country at the different branches and things like that. But you've got to be involved in these things, you know.
Got to do that stuff. That's great. All right. Well, I've got some questions here that I'd like to ask you, and these are my fun questions. Okay. Sure. All right. We're gonna have some fun here. I like to hear the answers on these. Okay. Now, this first question here, you get 2 answers. Mm-hmm. Okay. We're gonna think kind of around the world. 2 stages you would love to perform on anywhere in the world.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Oh, you know, the Red Rocks in Denver.
There you go.
Colorado. But also, and can I use that twice? Is that the little town Lyons, where I was in the States, which is only about an hour from there. Right. A dream of mine is to actually go and just play somewhere. It's only a little bitty town, but I would love to play somewhere in Lyons once, just to say I did it. But if we could use that as one, Lyons and Red Rocks.
There we go.
And then, geez, this is tough. It's funny. Every night anytime I'm playing and I play and finish the song and I get nothing, or I get little golf claps, I say, thank you, Wembley. Thank you, Wembley. So let's say Wembley.
Let's go with Wembley.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? That would be a great place to perform. Wembley. I love that. All right. Let's go to the next question. 2 answers on this one, but these are people, a person alive and a person that has passed away. Who would you really love to grace? 2 people, alive and past. Who do you want to really would want to perform with?
Oh, perform with. Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you just. Okay, that's cool. Look, as I said earlier, Bryan Adams is my biggest musical influence growing up. And funnily enough, and I didn't tell people this for a long time, although I just got dragged up on stage with Bryan Adams in 1994, I think it was. In fact, there's a picture.
Nice.
All right. And got to sing with him. And I'm not a religious person, but that was one of those experiences where out of 10,000 people, how did that happen?
Yeah.
And I actually got to do that with him. And I would love dearly to go back. I've even got a program down here signed by him and the drumsticks from the concert, everything. From his drummer, Mickey Curry. I'd love a chance to go back to that and say, I know you've done that a million gigs, as I have, but do you by any chance remember that? Because it was very specific what we did, and the song was very specific. And he even said at the time, I haven't played this song for 10 years. And we did it and smashed it and went we say going off like a frog in a sock. Means it went amazing. So he would be one. Performance-wise, gee, it'd be hard to for somebody not living. I'm not a huge Elvis fan, but if anything, and I just said this last night, if you could go back in time to any time, I'd love to be in America in the 50s to see rock and roll as it was and be there amongst it. So any of those guys, your Jerry Lee Lewis's, your Johnny Cash's, your Elvis Presley, any of those rock and roll people, to be there and experience that, Chuck Berry, would have, Ray Charles, would have been insane. And that's probably the answer to that one for me.
It would have been, and it's like, we brought up Detroit earlier, and that's Motown, Hitsville, I wish I'd have been around then when I could see the Temptations and all those people and stuff.
Incredible. I literally said this yesterday to somebody having a conversation. I said, I defy anyone to hear that music and not be moved by it. It's just, you can't not.
No.
Rock and roll, it's the best. How it happened, it's just incredible. It's incredible how it happened. It
is amazing. All right. Now, this question here, I really like to hear the answer on this. Now, you've played for a long time. You've played in front of big crowds, small crowds. All right, let's imagine we're with the full band. It's a bigger crowd out there. You're all set. You get up on stage, you strap that guitar on, you hit the first note, you start singing. People start hearing that, turn around, start moving towards the stage. and they might be swaying. Who knows? They might even dance. I don't know. But most of all, maybe they're singing your music to you. When you see that stuff, how's it hit you right in the heart, Brett? How's it make you feel, brother?
Oh, look, it hasn't happened to that extent, but it has happened with a smaller audience of people that I've got to know, and it's just unbelievable. It's surreal, actually. It's hard to, it's almost in a dream state. You go, is that actually happening?
Yeah,
those
right.
people, because people, and your supporters that are listening now, that are writers and whatnot, it's extremely personal to write original music, and it's extremely personal to sing, let alone sing original music. And to put yourself out there, I mean, I've gone past that now. I've got used to the fact of, oh, that's what I'm doing, and people accept that, and there's no judgment or anything. They just go, oh, that's what he does. It's all good, But to put yourself out there, and you're very incredibly vulnerable, but then to see people actually go, no, I actually love that. And a few times I've had people that I don't actually know come up and say, can you play Into the Night or something? I'm like, what? Where did that come from? And they go, oh, we're listening to you. We're listening to you outside before we came in. We were just listening to your album on Spotify. And you go, do you know how incredible that is? What you've just said to me? So look, it's overwhelmingly, it's a beautiful thing, and it's something that you couldn't really have dreamed of until it happened. So it's an amazing feeling is the answer to that question.
Nice, and it's something that always stays with you, and you always remember those moments.
Absolutely. In fact, it's funny. Just some friends of mine that are really good fans. Again, I hate to say it, but they're also great friends that I've got to know through music. They sent a video the other day, actually, of the carpool, what do they call it? Carpool karaoke, I think it's called. James Corden did it, all that kind of thing. And there's them singing my song, and within no time at all, 700 people have viewed this video, and they're singing my song back, and I'm going, wow, that is. And I know they're being funny, but they don't realize how heartwarming that is for them. That they're doing it.
That is wonderful. I love it. And what's great is you're going to have a lot more of those memories hit you. Oh, yeah.
Well, you can only hope so.
Exactly. All right. This question I'm going to ask you. Usually I leave it for my rock bands, heavy metal bands, but you've been playing a while. And so I'm going to ask you if this happened. Any embarrassing moments on stage throughout your years?
Oh, yeah, always. Look, I haven't fallen over or anything like that. I have had a couple of guitars fall over. It's pretty devastating. Anybody that knows me watching this, I can be quite comedic, and I like to think I'm funny, but I love dad jokes. I just like dad jokes. I don't think you have to swear to be funny, and I'm not afraid to stand up and say a dad joke that I know is people are going to go, oh my God, shut up. But I'll do it, and I'll sort of embarrass myself to make everybody else feel better. So I do that on a nightly basis. I'm not afraid to
do it on a nightly basis.
A friend of mine says to me, or one of my favorite ones is that, the man who invented throat lozenges, he died last week, and at his funeral there was no coffin.
Oh,
it's silly, but it's fun, and it's just trying to bring the audience in. And so I embarrass myself constantly, but I also I forget words sometimes, and you just move on. I'll hit a wrong chord. You just and you look at people and you say, hey, that was the jazz version, and
there you go.
You just move on. But the best thing is you never actually take yourself too seriously, because people don't like that. If you laugh at yourself, they'll respect you more, is what I've learned.
That's right. I love it.
You can't change it. You can't change it. So
no, you can't. All right. Well, before we get out of here, you think I can get one more song out of you, Brett? Short version?
Sure.
Do that. See if we get Brett do another song here, people.
All right. Okay. I'm just trying to figure it out as we go. Over and over till it just burnt in his mind. All the lies she'd said kept him hanging on. Then the sun comes up, the start of a brand new day. Either you take it or you fight it. That ocean just washed him away into the night. Into the night. Oh, into the night. Yeah, baby. Oh, oh, baby. Into the night.
Hey, there we go. Oh, bravo, Brett. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I wish we had more time for more, but we're almost at the end here, Brett. Future-wise, Nick, let's go 5 years. Where do you want to be? Where you see yourself in about 5 years? What do you want to be doing?
Hopefully, do at least release that second album, at least maybe a third, and definitely getting onto some of those bigger festival bills with some bigger names. That's absolutely what I'd like to be doing. You know
Beautiful,
what I mean?
Absolutely. That'd be great. That'd be great. And again, how can we all out there find your music again?
So it's Brett Gray Music, and it's Gray with an A, not an E. And I say that because the people that did this album on the side spelt it with an E.
Oh, jeez.
Everywhere else on the album, it's spelt with an A, and tried to blame me, but it was their fault. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
To blame you.
But yeah, Brett Gray Music, and I'm not the guy from America, the African American guy who's a hip hop artist. That's not me. He's the other guy. And,
you notice the difference.
On all your YouTube, your TikTok, Instagram, and all the iTunes, Spotify, all of those things. Brett Gray Music. If you can give me a follow and a share and a like, and send me a message, I'd love to hear from you from all over the world.
Great. Yeah. Brett, I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart coming on the podcast today. Thank you so much.
Thank you is to you, Big Al. All thanks to you, my friend. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
And I want, let's keep in touch. Something new comes out, I want to hear it. And I want you back 6 months or a year. Let's see where you're at and get your new music out. Definitely.
I would love to do that. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate what you're doing for independent artists globally. You're a good man.
Appreciate it. Got to do it. Definitely. This is your show, Brett. Anybody you want to say hi to, hey to, or anything?
Big Al, yeah, it's you. I'll say hi to you. I better say hi to my wife, Kylie, but she probably won't watch this because she thinks I'm an idiot anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But all my friends in the US, especially because I know you're over there, but also anybody all around the world, friends and family all around the world, g'day, and see you later.
That's right. So everybody on the podcast, thank you for watching today's show. Remember, check out the past shows. Of course, check out the future shows of all the great artists coming on. And of course, now you can go check out Brett Gray's music. So check it out. You're going to love what you hear. And support the local and national music scene, no matter where they are. Yes. And Brett, I want you to get a hold of Christine, or I'll get a hold of her and tell her to get a hold of you. You two need to collaborate, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds.
That'd be a great thing. So don't go anywhere, Brett. But everybody out there, we're going to see you next time. So we're out here, everybody. Take care. Peace. We're out of here.